The translation feature allows you to prepare the scene in Composer or Studio so that when running it in the viewer, you can change the language of the experience by simply choosing a language at the start. Now on how to achieve this in the Composer, we will use a few objects to keep things simple, using common types of objects that can utilize translation: an image on a plane, a video plane, and a sound object. The file path for these objects' media files will also be the path where the translation copies are made, so make sure it is the path you want and that it is organized and clean. Go to the Viewer tab and then choose Languages. Now it's better to keep each object you want to translate under a parent, and when adding the desired objects, to add them themselves and not their parents. Now add the objects. Add a language. And you will see that it created copies with a suffix for the chosen language. The media files for these objects are on the same path. Now the files are identical copies of the originals, but they are like a placeholder for the translated files you or the translator is going to make. For the translated files to replace these, they must have the same name as them. You can change the media files directly from the Composer for the new objects. Or in case you want to have the original files and the translation copies packed, like in the important case of giving them to a translator without having to give your SIM or ZIM file, keeping your work safe and private, click the Pack Items button. This will make a compressed file that contains all the files needed. Save it where you want, then extract the files. You can see the names indicating which are the original ones and which are the placeholder copies. For example, here, we will make the replacement that we want for the image. Paste it in the file and give it the same name of the placeholder. Now we will pack the files into a compressed zip file. Then import them to our scene. This will replace the files with new ones. Here the image was replaced, as you can see. Now for the second part of the feature, translating texts. Click on this icon. Here you can add texts that, when are detected while running the experience in the viewer, will be automatically changed if you chose another language, but first you have to write the translation you want for that text. The first method is done directly from the Composer like this. The second method is through the packing method shown before. A file will be created for each language and should be opened and the text inside translated using QT Linguist. Information on how to download and use it is in the description of the video. Now to show how it works in the viewer. Simply add a variable containing the text you added before. Assign the variable to a variable writer. And then run it in the viewer. Pick a secondary language and you will see how it is automatically showing the translated text. If you want to change the main language of the experience, simply drag and drop the language you want to the far left of the Languages bar. It's very important to do this at the beginning of your work to avoid any issues or complications from changing the main language later on. Let's say you want to add a new object to your translation system. The new object won't be added automatically to secondary languages that you already added. In order to achieve that, delete the secondary language, and you can pick whether you delete its associated objects or not. Then add it again, and it will have the new object added now.